There's no one that beats you up more than yourself emotionally because you know all of your secrets, you know all of your weaknesses. Welcome to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast, where correction is out, connection is in, and your kids want to listen to you. I'm Andy Martineau, creator of Connect Method Parenting, here to help you stay calm, confident, and connected no matter what. Hey, everybody. I am sitting trying to sneak in an episode, or rather record an episode before all of my family gets up. So I've been up since 5 a.m. trying to get some things done, had some calls with amazing clients, and I thought I'd try to sneak in a podcast episode about weaknesses. Are you guys so excited? Weaknesses. I've been thinking a lot about what it means to be self-aware and what it means to understand who you are, what it means to understand your interactions with other people, with our surroundings, with our family, with the world, with our life. And I believe one of the most important pieces of true self-awareness is understanding all of the parts of us, what it means to be us, the positive and the negative. And I've talked a lot about this on the podcast, about embracing the 50-50, the good and the bad, the positive and the negative. And I think that this idea of weaknesses goes right along with that. I haven't specifically called out weakness, but I wanted to today because I think when people identify weaknesses within themselves, they would identify that in a negative way. And so I want to give you some other alternative ways to process your weaknesses in a way that's going to help you increase your self-awareness, because when you increase your self-awareness, when you become more emotionally regulated, you become a better parent. You become more effective in the world. And when we're more effective and when we're more productive and we can show up in a deliberate way, we can show up in a more regulated way. We can help our kids through their off-track behavior because we are staying in a more regulated place. This doesn't mean we get rid of all of our weaknesses. It means we handle them with more compassion, with more grace, with more understanding. And when we handle ourselves in that way, we handle other people in that way. So it's really important that we're paying attention to this. A lot of us have been conditioned to think from a very young age that weaknesses are bad. But I would say that if we can look at weaknesses in a conscious way, we can look at them as part of the beautiful complexity of being a human and use them in a productive way so that we're not unconscious about our weaknesses. We're not being taken over by our weaknesses. We can not be afraid of our weaknesses. I want to teach you all today how to truly not be afraid of the parts of us that we may not be so fond of, that we may think are weak. So let's talk a little bit about how most of us deal with our weaknesses if we aren't conscious of them, if we're not self-aware, if we're not inspecting and self-confronting and paying attention. Many of us resist our weaknesses, meaning we push them away, we try to resist them, and we spend a lot of energy, and I would say it's unnecessary energy, trying to get rid of them, trying to deny that part of us, trying to make it go away, trying to fix that broken part of us. And the way I see this is by us being unkind to ourselves. There's a lot of self-sabotage when we're denying the truth that we have weakness. And it's also very triggering to our nervous system when we're beating ourselves up about our weaknesses and we're not making space for the experience that we're having in the world. When we are judging ourselves for how we might have lost our temper, maybe we got impatient, then we are not leveraging that moment of weakness as a growth opportunity, as a moment to give us more insight into who we are, more knowledge, a better relationship with ourselves. So acknowledging our weaknesses instead of hiding them is really, really important. It makes it possible when we open ourselves up to our weaknesses to move forward and to show up as the parent we want to show up. When we resist them, it just perpetuates the cycle of more weakness, because think about how you feel when you beat yourself up. And there's no one that beats you up more than yourself emotionally, because you know all of your secrets, you know all of your weaknesses. So if you're trying to resist your weaknesses by beating yourself up, it's never going to lead to the self-awareness, to the change, to the more emotionally regulated state that you want to be in as a Connect Method parent. When you want to use connection over correction, we have to be very aware and kind to ourselves so that we can be very aware and kind to our children. A lot of us also confront our weaknesses in a very confrontational way. We show up in our lives and we say like, no, 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 we have to fix this. Something's wrong with me. I can't let this happen. I don't want to be weak. And so we take this weakness, this thing that we're struggling with, and we push it down. We can't stand that part of ourselves. So we procrastinate, we avoid, we think, why can I not get over this? We're so judgmental. And we see all of this as weakness in ourselves. So instead of looking at it and analyzing it and questioning it and confronting it, when you're really confrontational with your weaknesses, you're trying to use willpower to eradicate it. Another ineffective way that we often deal with weaknesses is we try to hide them. We try to tuck them away. We try to put them in the corner and not acknowledge them and not let anyone else see them and avoid every situation where that weakness might come up. This can perpetuate a lot of shame. And weakness and shame, they love each other. They're besties. They love to be hidden and they love to have no opportunity to be seen, because then they can create more and more evidence that something's wrong with us, because there's no opportunity to air it out and to realize this is just part of being human. It's part of humanness. An example of this for me, this shame, was feeling for a while that I was weak and was not patient. I couldn't figure this out and I didn't know what to do and I was losing my temper and I would feel so ashamed about it. I did all the things I just talked about. I would hide it. I would try to force my way through it. I would beat myself up over it. And when I was beating myself up over it and I was shaming myself over not being patient, not being able to be the parent I wanted to be, I wasn't making any headway. It wasn't until I finally was able to greet my weakness with love and understanding that I made headway. The baby powder blizzard I talk about a lot was one of those pivotal moments for me where I saw myself in a kind and compassionate way. I was able to really do an inventory of what had led up to me losing my mind when my kids had done that. So it was the acknowledging it, the openness to that part of me that created movement in the direction I wanted to. It wasn't hiding my weakness or being ashamed of it. It was actually looking at it head on. So I want to pose this question as parents, and this is important. We're asking ourselves, how do we deal with our weaknesses, or what are some opportunities or options that we can consider when it comes to exploring our weaknesses? And sitting with that, instead of just thinking about all the ways I'm going to improve and be better by hitting these new goals or these new milestones, new habits and routines, and all that's great. But I would say, let's look at the weaknesses too and say, how can I create more awareness and consideration and love around myself and my humanness and my weaknesses as I'm moving forward? I think that's a really important thing for us to do. So if you go to Google and you ask it what weaknesses is, you ask it to define it, it's going to say things like poor discipline, low ambition, poor social skills, being less smart, not understanding certain concepts, low adventureness. And I want you to hear that this is completely subjective. These are opinions of other people. And I would prefer to look at weakness as an area where you may want to be stronger, as an underdeveloped area. We all have underdeveloped areas. And I had a friend use that term as she was describing herself a couple months ago. And I thought, I love that. I love thinking of it just as an underdeveloped area. It's not a problem. It's not that it can't develop. It's just underdeveloped for one reason or another. And if you could look at it in a positive way like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to work on getting stronger, although you might want to work on getting stronger in that area. But it opens you up so that you're acknowledging that you have options. Like, it's okay. It's okay that you're weak. It's okay that you have weaknesses. It's okay that you are human. As a mom, we are humans. As a dad, we are humans. We have a lot of things we bring to the table as a parent. And I'd recommend that you try to embrace all the weaknesses. You're going to be a lot less weak if you embrace your weaknesses. You're going to be a lot stronger if you embrace your weaknesses. One of the most powerful exercises that I have been working on in my life and will continue probably to work on for my whole life I would deem myself as a highly sensitive person, is to look at my weaknesses and accept them and accept the weaknesses that I see in the world and in my kids and in my spouse without trying to argue it, without trying to even confront it or resist it or reject it or hide it. Just look at it. I love the phrase, this is what is, and what do I want to do about it? I love that phrase. It's so disarming. It's so neutralizing. It takes out the morality of it, which maybe we can deal with at another time. But in the moment, what serves me and helps me show up as the best human and the best parent is, this is what just happened. Now, what do I want to do about it? This is the weakness I'm seeing. This is the behavior I'm seeing. This is the emotion I'm feeling. Now, what do I want to do about it? It's not, oh my gosh, I'm feeling weak again. Oh my gosh, I lost my cool again. It's just, this is what happened. And what do I want to do about it? Really exploring it as an opportunity to take a look at it, to see it, to walk around it, to listen, to touch the weakness, to go to all the corners of it, and to get curious about it and ponder it and allow yourself to think about it and be really present there. So do this with yourself too, but I also want to plant the idea that you could do this around a weakness you see in your child, to neutralize it, to become more aware of it, to become less judgmental around it so that you can interact with that part of them in a more loving and compassionate way. When I think of embracing my weakness, I really like to look at it as embracing one of the ingredients that makes me, me. I'm not supposed to be strong all the time. Did you know that? You're not supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to be excellent all the time. There's this 50-50 dynamic in each one of us that includes the positive and the negative. The areas where we're strong and the areas where we're not so strong, we don't measure up to our highest capacity in every moment. Now, I think a lot of people, when they hear me talk about this, might misinterpret softness with weakness. And this is not what I'm talking about. When I talk about weakness, I'm talking about an area where you're not as efficient or effective, where you're not showing up as capable or confident or strong as you want to be or as regulated. And you notice it and you think, oh, I want to do better when I'm putting the kids to bed or when I have a lot of stress. So we start really trying to embrace and explore our own weaknesses. And we have this opportunity to not only get to know ourselves, but to accept and appreciate ourselves in ways that we only can get to if we are embracing all parts of us instead of resisting all parts of us. So we get to decide at that time, do we want to try to change that part of ourselves or improve that part of ourselves, or just get to know that part of ourselves? And this is the part where I really, really want to suggest that it's not necessary for us to constantly try to improve ourselves. I'm speaking to myself here, just reminding myself it's not important that we're always trying to improve ourselves. You don't have to be better than you are to be more worthy or to be more capable even. And I really like that reassurance that what if we stop trying to always improve ourselves to get better, and instead our focus is on getting to know ourselves better as a parent, our weaknesses, our strengths, our tendencies, our triggers, giving ourselves that permission in the moment when maybe we haven't shown up in a way we respect or we've regretted something we've said. And instead of beating ourselves up over it or judging ourselves or wishing we could be different or better, we just get to know the part of ourselves that took the lead in that moment, and we improve our relationship with it. We improve our understanding with it. And as you kind of question your own weaknesses and explore it, I want to suggest that maybe you don't confront it. You don't try to improve it. You just try to see it as an opportunity for self-awareness and self-compassion, and that this process will actually make you stronger, not because you don't have any weaknesses, but because you do have weaknesses and you're stronger because of your familiarity and your acceptance of them. This is so grounding for our nervous system, so regulating for our nervous system. When we are constantly judging ourselves because we didn't show up the way we wanted to, or we're judging our kids for the way they're showing up, and so we're resisting our reality and we see these weaknesses, quote unquote, if we got to know them better instead of resist and judge and try to correct them, the impact that has on our nervous system is huge. It allows us to stay in a more regulated place, which allows us to be stronger. When you're able to see things in that way, it creates acceptance and love and awareness. And you're not hiding anything or any part of you or trying to project a different part of you or trying to resist part of you or confront part of you or change part of you. You're trying to get to know all of you. So just being with that weakness is as part of your humanness, part of the ingredients that makes you up, as part of your life, not as a detriment, not as something that's supposed to not be that way, powerful as a parent. And so the other side of that could be that you decide that you do want to change it. You do want to work on it. And again, I recommend that at first you just get to know it, but then once you really get to know it, you can decide, hey, I want to do something about this. I want to be more intentional about strengthening this weakness. Or maybe I feel like there's a skill I need to develop or a capacity I need to increase. I do want to change that part of myself. Maybe one of your weaknesses is that you don't have a lot of self-control when it comes to your kids leaving their bedroom a mess. And so you have a hard time not yelling. That might be one of the areas where you want to improve and get stronger. And even though that seems like a very negative thing because has a negative impact on your children when you yell at them, I want to give you permission to first pause and try to get to know it first, that part of you. Try to embrace that part of you that is showing up as impatient before you change, because that will ultimately make it easier for you to change that part of you, to grow up that part of you when you have authority over it, when you have awareness around it. Now, changing a weakness, changing something that you want to up-level from a place of love and compassion and understanding is the most effective way to make a change. Way better than coming from a place of lack and beating yourself up and judging yourself for the weakness you have. If you are trying to strengthen yourself in an area, compassion will always win over meanness, always. So if you see your weakness as something that needs to be confronted, that you need to go at aggressively, that you need to get rid of and eradicate and resist and react, and if you see your weaknesses as something like that, it's going to be really hard. You're going to be emotionally triggered. Your nervous system's going to go into fight or flight. It's very hard to make a change from that place. But if you look at a weakness, you think, oh, I'd really like to be more patient with this child or create a more loving bedtime routine. And we inspect the weaknesses that are preventing us from showing up like that. And we embrace them and we explore them and we get curious about them. And then we try to change that weakness or grow, strengthen that weakness with compassion and love as part of the human experience. The amount of time it's going to take you to change will shorten dramatically. Okay, you all, as we wrap up this little conversation we're having about weakness, I just want to encourage everybody to understand your weakness and use them for you instead of against you. It's going to help you enjoy your life so much better. What if one of the things on your list, just throwing this out as a possibility, is to look at your weaknesses and to find a couple of them that you become friends with and that you self-confront and that you really get to know that part of yourself and see it as a beautiful aspect of you. So where do you see yourself as weak? Where do you resist your weaknesses or project them or confront them or try to get them to go away or hide them? And then ask yourself, what would it be like if instead of resisting them, you explored your weaknesses, you tried to lean in and accept them, get to know them, embrace them, and maybe, just maybe, enjoy them all a little bit. All right, you all, have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, come check out my Connect Method Parenting Coaching Program, where we take this material and we apply it using my proven formula. Head over to cmp.works/join.